So Sandrone being a Snezhnaya character and not having enough teammates, because obviously she's the first character from there to come out, it can be a little confusing to actually build a good team for her at this point in the game right now, and it can even be confusing to understand what she needs on the team. In this video I'll just be explaining her team needs, what does she do, what does she provide, and then I'll be ranking all of her potential teammates in a tier list based around which of them is going to provide you with the best value at this point in the game right now. So hopefully you'll be able to build your perfect Sandrone team. Before we continue that though, if you need Sandrone or her teammates but you don't have enough Primogems saved, I have a pretty easy solution for you. You should head to U7Buy, your ultimate gaming hub for safe, fast, and cheap in-game top-ups. From Genshin Impact to all of your favorite titles. The Genshin Impact's direct top-up page lets you recharge instantly. Check this out for example. The 8,080 Genesis Crystals price on the official store is going to be $99.99, which is so expensive. But on U7Buy, you notice that the storefront displays similar prices to the in-game store. But don't worry, the magic all happens in checkout. Once you click the Buy Now button, your total instantly drops to the actual discounted prices. And it can drop even more if you use my code Camilo. How to buy is also super easy. You just type your user ID, select your server and region, pay securely, and your account is going to be loaded instantly. It's that easy. Check the link in the description or the pinned comment to visit U7Buy, and remember to use my code Camilo for an extra 5% discount. Alright, moving on to her team requirements, we're just going to list them very quick so we understand based around what we're going to be ranking her teammates. So Sandrone is just going to be simply a Stellar Conduct main DPS. Stellar Conduct is just going to be the reaction between Electro and Cryo, and you need an enabler in the team for you to even enable the reaction, which is going to be Sandrone in this case. When you do it, it's just going to buff both your Electro Cryo damage and also your Stellar Conduct damage if your characters can deal that. So for her team requirements, obviously you'll need to trigger the Stellar Conduct. So the first and most important that you're going to need is going to be a consistent Electro applier. And then as I said, Stellar Conduct is going to be buffing Electro and Cryo damage and also Stellar damage. So preferably you'll need an Electro or Cryo or Stellar Conduct sub DPS for them to take advantage out of that buff. The third thing is that she's just a normal main DPS. So you'll need a sustain and buffer. For sustains you need either a shielder or a healer. For buffers you want characters who give you attack, resistance shred, or even elemental mastery. Those are the things you'd want to be looking for in terms of like her buffers and sustains. The next thing you'd want is going to be Stellar Conduct characters in general, just any characters who can take advantage out of Stellar Conduct, whether it's they get more buffs, whether they can deal Stellar Conduct's damage for example, just any characters that have the Stellar Conduct's effects. If they're inside the Stellar Conduct's area, then obviously they're going to be a good fit for the team. And then lastly, you'd want characters in general who's going to have a short on-field time, because Sandrone is just going to be a selfish main DPS sort of in general. You're going to need quite a lot of field time with her because you'll need to recharge and then let it cool down with the skill and stuff like that, so her field time is going to be pretty high. And obviously you don't want characters who can interfere with that, so you'd want characters who can just, you switch to them, do your thing, and then they're just off field. But yeah, that's pretty much it for requirements really. The main thing is that you'll need an Electro for you to have enough Electro and apply your Stellar Conduct. Other characters who can take advantage out of the Stellar Conduct, and then just normal sustains and buffers. That's pretty much all you need in her teams. Alright, now moving on to her characters tier list. Those are the potential teammates that you can play with Sandrone in general. Obviously, this is not all of them, but those are like the main characters that most people are going to look towards when they want to build a team for Sandrone. And now we're going to see which of them are actually good and which of them you should just definitely not use. Starting off with Raiden Shogun. I mean, she's rerunning in the same patch. Well, I guess a lot of people would assume that she can work with Sandrone in general, and this is not fully false, but in general, her synergy is just going to be pretty low with Sandrone. She is able to apply off-field Electro, but it's going to be kind of slow. It's not going to be enough for you to have consistent Stellar Conduct, which is not going to be pretty good, and she's going to be buffing your burst, which is not really a huge part of Sandrone's damage. So in general, she can work with her, but I wouldn't really say she's a good option. Also, her field time is going to be kind of too high if you want to play her to her full potential, which is not going to be pretty good with Sandrone, as I said before. So I put Raiden Shogun at C tier. I don't think she's terrible per se, but I think she's less than average in terms of like being a teammate for Sandrone. So yeah, just keep her C tier. Fischl, in general, I think she's basically just a better Raiden for Sandrone specifically. She can apply Electro much better. She can also deal decent damage of her own, just completely off field. That's gonna be pretty good. Preferably you'd want to play her with another Hex Ray, so she's not perfect. She does require some other things, but in general, she's gonna be pretty playable with Sandrone. I think she's pretty average though. I'll just keep her a B tier. She is the basic Electro enabler you might need with Sandrone. Yaimiko is actually gonna be the perfect Electro enabler healer though. She's going to be applying pretty fast and good electro completely off field. You don't need to do anything. She can take advantage out of Stellar Conduct. She got buffs recently, so she has pretty good Stellar Conduct synergy. She does good damage of her own, and you can even get her free C1 or C2, which is just going to make her much better. So for the perfect electro enabler and sub DPS for Sandrone, it's definitely going to be Yaimiko, so I'll just leave her at S tier. She just ticks too many boxes, which is going to be pretty good. Beidou is also going to be pretty good. She does apply decent electro on her own. She's going to be pretty good. Her damage is not going to be the best in general, but it's also going to be decent. At higher constellations, she can even give you just damage buffs like Resistance Shred and Elemental Mastery, which is going to be pretty good. That usually brings her on par with someone like Fischl in my opinion, but she does also provide you with a shield, so you might be able to run a sustainless team if you're playing Beidou. Her shield is not the best, so you'll need to be careful, but in general, you can do that. So I think Beidou deserves A tier, maybe low A tier in general, but I think she's a pretty decent character. You have Shinha. Shinha is just going to be the classic cryo support. She doesn't really have any like direct synergy with Sandrone specifically, but she's always going to be a good cryo support. So yeah, just keep her a B tier for that, but in general, a lot of cryos are going to be better. Diona is going to be a perfect example. She's just going to be better than Shinha in general, especially if you have her C6. She can give you better and more suitable buffs in general. She also has the Stellar Conduct synergy, and she can also heal you at the same time. So she does tick a lot of boxes. She can be both a buffer and sustain. She's going to be pretty good. I'll just keep her A tier. Chi-Chi, I think it's just a better Diona, honestly. She does the same thing. She can fully sustain you, and then she can give you more direct Stellar Conduct buffs. So honestly, in general, I think she's going to be probably the best cryo you can use at this point in the game right now. So I'll just keep her S tier too. Escoffier is going to be pretty good. Also nothing like directly dedicated for Sandrone, but in general, she's just a good cryo support, even outside of freeze teams. She's going to give you that resistant shred and cryo damage. So yeah, I'll just keep her at A tier in my opinion. I think she's pretty decent, but I still prefer Chi-Chi in general. Wriothesley, he basically doesn't really have any synergy with Sandrone really, except that he's one of the few characters that got Stellar Conduct's buffs in the recent update, and Sandrone is going to be the only character who can enable Stellar Conduct. So if you want to take advantage out of these buffs, unfortunately you'll have to play Wriothesley with Sandrone, I guess. So he is a potential teammate, at least at this point in the game, but in general they have literally like zero synergy. They're both even main DPSs, so you're gonna struggle in field time. So I'll just keep him at D tier. You can just put Sandrone in this team just like as an enabler, but in general, yeah, he's not really a character you'd want to play with Sandrone. Exact same thing with Sinu. I'll just keep him at D tier too. Sucrose can be a pretty good Elemental Mastery buffer, and also with the Resistance Shred with the Viridescent. So if you needed Nemo on your team and you don't have any better supports, I think she's gonna be pretty good. I keep her at A tier even. Kazuha is also the same thing, just for the Resistance Shred and also damage bonus. I think Sucrose is generally better for Sandrone in general, like generally speaking, at least in most teams. So I'd keep Kazuha at B tier, but he can be much higher if you have him C2, but we're not gonna assume that. So C0 Kazuha, just keep at B tier. Shilonin is basically the same thing as Sucrose, just a decent support filler in general. She can give you Resistance Shred and also sustain at the same time, which is going to be pretty good. I just keep her high A tier. Zhongli can also be used for that. He can give you the shield, the best shield in the game, and also some Resistance Shred, which is going to be pretty good. I usually do prefer Shilonin though. She just gives better buffs, so I'll just keep Zhongli at B tier, but you can definitely use him as a filler character. You have Bennett. He can be a sustain and also give you huge attack buffs. That's going to be pretty good. I don't think he's the best buffer in general, so I just keep him at A tier, but yeah, he can definitely work with Sandrone. Nicole, also basically the same thing, but I do prefer her because I said before you'd want more sub DPSs, so I think overall her damage buffs are going to be more valuable than Bennett's because she can buff the whole team, at least like 2 characters, Sandrone and then your Electro Cryo sub DPS. So I think usually it's just better value. I keep her at S tier, but Bennett is definitely close enough. It's not like a huge difference. It depends on the team, but generally I prefer Nicole by a little bit. And then finally moving on to some team examples. Usually you just want to construct a team based on the rules I gave you earlier and the list of characters I just ranked in a tier list, mostly at least. So a basic team for Sandrone, the best one is just going to be Sandrone, Yaimiko, the best Electro applier, sub DPS, and then you want to sustain or cryo. Usually it's probably just going to be Chi-Chi. That's definitely the best option. And then lastly, you don't want a filler character, so you can go with something like Nicole. That's probably the best option too. This is probably just going to be her best team for now. Again, obviously it's not complete. We don't really have any dedicated supports for her specifically, but from what we have right now, this is the best team you can build for Sandrone. You can replace characters with the other characters I had in the tier list. You can replace Yamiko with someone like Fischl or Beidou, for example. Chi-Chi can be replaced with someone like Diona, for example, as sustain, or Escoffier if you have a sustain as a filler slot. And in the filler slot, you can have Bennett, for example, Shalonin, and a Nemo like Sucrose, or just whatever. This is going to be the team for Sandrone at this point right now, but hopefully we just get more supports in the future. But yeah, tell me what teams you guys are going to be using. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.